Good morning. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. Today, we're going over some headlines and the fact that Doodles is dropping their dream net that was supposed to be their blockchain. I'm not sure what the hell is supposed to happen with Doodles. The reports were coming out last night. We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about how the Solana founder is calling NFTs digital slop, even though there was a huge proportion of the market cap that was driven at one point by the NFT and the speculation around that on Solana in a lot of communities and people that were festered on there. So it's a little bit of a weird take, but everybody's got their own opinions on things. We're going to highlight a lot of fun clips, and I am in a Netflix series, at least supposedly. So we're going to watch the trailer for that, and we will dissect, react, and comment on all of the goods. Thank you so much for coming on through. So Sergito highlighting how the co-head of the Ethereum Foundation, in quotes, said, looking forward to the third wave of NFTs, while we have the Solana co-founder saying, I've said this for years, meme coins and NFTs are digital slop and have no intrinsic value. Like a mobile game loot box, people spend $150 billion a year on mobile gaming. Well, okay, so you and I, we got to figure out how we're going to make a mobile game. That's takeaway number one. But number two, why are we calling it digital slop when that is a huge part of what your ecosystem is doing? A little strange. I digress. Anywho, checking this out from Ash Robin. What do you think about this? You know, if you watch the stream, you're probably somebody that goes out there, has, own thoughts and things you think about, but do you really put it out there, or do you take what other people say and put your variation on it, which is what I do on here? Hell yeah. But Ash Robinson, I genuinely think 99% of the space is absolutely zero research at all, and almost everyone just waits around all day for someone else to come up with a thesis for them. So number one, I agree with that. I think obviously there's a point where it's good to, have other people's opinions and see, because it's not you. And if it was just you, if you had a whole bunch of money, you could absolutely do whatever the hell you want, and it doesn't matter. But being a part of a community, being a part of, the narrative that's around here, it's really reliant on everybody else, which to a point, if you guys seen the absolute crash and burn around everything FaZe, Aiden Ross, the people with the MLG token and that fallout, I was going to cover it, but I was like, we'll save that for a different day. But within this comment, how do you go out and do your own research? Well, there's different newsletters that are out there. There's podcasts, which we've highlighted that we do. There's streams like this, but it's really just getting your foot in the door. And by simply being aware, watching what's happening, and reacting to things and trying to formulate your own thought, well, there you go. You've already done more research than half the people out there. And Raoul Paul is somebody that has gotten a lot of research, or at least given a perspective to many such individuals. My full analysis on the opportunities of digital art as the greatest long-term store of wealth appeared in GMI in July, just published in Real Vision Pro. So here's the introduction for it. It's 3 paragraphs. In a world increasingly defined by digital expression and decentralized economies, it follows that our next great asset class may be that of digital art, or NFTs. Over time, NFTs have demonstrated a unique ability to provide stores of wealth in both scarcity and cultural significance, captivating the hearts and minds of investors and transforming the perception of NFTs from items of novelty into apex assets in the crypto ecosystem. A couple of you guys, listen, that's Apex assets. That's a trigger. Sheesh. Assets like CryptoPunks, X copies, Beeples may not seem like much to the naked eye, but the value of digital art is not in what it illustrates, but it's what it stands for. NFTs are not only structured with the technologicals of viable financial instruments, but functional as historical artifacts of our digital evolution, giving digital art a cultural resonance that rivals traditional assets. All right, you know what? I very much like that phrasing right there of the historical artifacts of our digital evolution. That's a good punchline right there. In this month's edition, we dig deeper into the macro frameworks, market signals, and historical patterns. So kind of interesting. Am I going to sign up for Real Vision Pro for this? Probably not, but I like the opening and would definitely read it if it is free. And speaking of free, we do the podcast, RWA segments, and this past week, which we're going to be dropping another episode a little bit later today with Ray Buckton, but last week, we talked with Mike Reevey, who is somebody that worked on Wall Street, that has a ton of knowledge, and he's actually working on helping make the freight industry a little bit smoother. And randomly, as we were talking, he brought up the fact that he got debanked at a point. And that's the scariest thing ever, right? We always talk about how absolutely terrifying it is. So here is that quick clip from last week's podcast. me asking, and we don't have to go into it at all if you're not interested, but I've heard the conversations around people being debanked before, and like I don't even know where I would begin. What does that process look like? How do you come out of it? Like how do you handle it?
Well, okay, I have what I would call the unlucky stick. So I was at Lehman Brothers, I was at First Republic Bank, and I was at Credit Suisse. All banks failed, those three. Then I was at Wells Fargo, I was at Bank of America, and I was debanked. Yeah, and it's because the bankers don't understand what I do, right? They thought I was trading Bitcoin. I wasn't. I was just writing an app, and what I wanted to do was be able to account for it and depreciate, my R&D, right? I wanted to start a company. I wanted to build software and then put it on the balance sheet. And that's all I wanted to do, right? But I named my company at the time, I think it was like M&M Crypto. And they were like, nope, nope, sorry. So they opened the account, took my 10,000 or whatever, and then filed a SARS and told me to get my money and to leave them alone. It's okay. I understand they have their process, but that was what debanking was like. They suddenly you get a call. We hear you're doing crypto, and I was, well, no, I'm paying a few people USDC. I have a dev in Canada, actually, in Quebec, paying him USDC. I'm paying another guy USDT and in Europe, and they shut me down. They were like, we don't want to do banking business with you.
What absolute crooks. Take the money and then say you're out of here. But back to the point of, stable coins, cross-border payments, people try to like knock off that crypto utility aspect. And in certain cases, it ends up being a big deal. So again, if you want to listen to this episode or the one a little bit later today with Ray, check out the link in the YouTube description below or in my bio on X, or just type in RWA segments on any podcasting platform. So yesterday we highlighted the fact that Rec Drinks were selling a whole bunch of drinks at 7-Eleven before that actually came with tokens. So those who purchased 4 cans of Rect for $10 at 7-Eleven store and claimed the free Rect token, which was 327.5 million, it's a meme coin, so it's a lot, on Abstract is now worth $375. Can you imagine going out there and buying that to have that sort of return, where if you spot, put a little bit more than $10 in, holy sweet sugar. But this is also, right, I mean, to do the fence sitting that we like to do, this is almost similar to what happened with Gary Vee, right? Gary Vee was like, hey, come and buy my book. My book that we have next to us here, and each book comes with an NFT. Or maybe it was if you buy 12, I forget the exact kind of things on it, right? But the point being is that leveraging the NFT, or in this case, the token for it, ended up doing absolute numbers on sales. And I'm pretty sure the Rec Drinks ended up selling out on that. So huge congrats. And we'll see who else kind of, joins that fray of offering kind of a double-edged sword. So we're going to get to a point here. I'm going to say, what do we give it? I'll give it another month. Yeah. We'll give it another month before we see absolute complete crash outs on the timeline to the point that you're going to be like, man, I need to be in a bunker online because it is a war zone on the timeline. So here's an example. Sada didn't switch from Meme Land, which is another NFT collection, to Pudgies when I could. LucaNet's literally doing everything I thought the 9gag CEO would do. It's not about price. It's about transparency, community, and excitement. Now, we could say, all right, well, a lot of these teams, they don't want to rush out a product and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's an absolute viable answer because it's true. If you've been in crypto for a while, people have said stuff for like 3 years and then nothing happens. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, it's still being worked on. It just takes forever because that's the mantra of crypto. But I really think that if we keep seeing these historical collections and other things start moving and having significant increases while other stuff does nothing, the crash outs on the timeline are going to be pièce de résistance. Smoot, hash masks were being dumped into WETH bids for 0.04 5 days ago. They now have a floor of 0.25 with 80 ETH volume. Silly season is upon us. I agree. But what is it with all of these historical collections that are catching a bid? We've seen the, likes of Mooncats in a similar fashion. to the hash mass that are getting bids. People going for some of the grails here, $37,000 for it. But Justin Trimble maybe gave an explanation for such. Innovation and historical value aren't priced in. If that's what you collect for, there's still time for some digital assets. In quotes, teams change all the time. Lore endures. I can't really argue with this. I mean, we have seen an absolute ton of teams change over. People that we thought were great heads of companies end up leaving. The mantra, the thought, the excitement getting all shifted around. The focus, depending on what sort of success or not success collections have had. But if there's nothing expected, and that's all that matters, and people just agree, handshake, all right, that's got value, and there's not really a way for it to get screwed up, bada boom, bada bing. Then we got Curio cards now catching a bid too. Floor's absolutely sending on these. And we could have done an entire stream at one point on historical NFTs, and I feel like we even did at a point where we just kind of highlighted a couple of different ones. I mean, basically zero price action on anything, which is crazy. But Pudgy Penguins getting an Animoca Brands research page done by them. So we'll read through just like the first half of this, okay? So Pudgy Penguins, initially a successful PFP NFT launch featuring adorable penguin figures, gained early traction but lost momentum following unmet community expectations. Oh, so we go back to Justin Trimble's point a second ago where the teams changed. So there was a huge falling out between people that were involved. The guy's name was like Cole Therium. I've talked to him a few times, not on a stream or anything, but for whatever reason, got like a huge bad rap sheet. The whole Pudgy Penguins thing ended up not really working out. But remember, Pudgy Penguins was like, I don't know if I can say like a failure initially because they sold out, and that you can never say that like, oh, that was a failure. But there was a lot of angst, a lot of, yeah, we don't like these things, whatever. And in 2022, current CEO Luca Netz acquired the project and transformed it into a successful IP business through on-chain meme viral marketing, online experience building, and in-store toy sales. Overpass IP, an NFT licensing platform built by the same team, enables NFT holders to earn royalties, converting Pudgy NFTs with purely speculative value into assets with fundamentals tied to the IP's commercial success. And so Overpass IP. If you know the Vibes TCG, which we've highlighted before, people can submit their penguin, get $250, and then they get their penguin like on a card for it. Oh, Jeremy! Speaking of vibes, holy smokes, what a timing on that one. Goodness gracious. Yo, I hope things are going over on that front there. The legend of the Lils, man himself. The launch of the Pengu token in December 2024 marked a new phase in Pudgy Penguin's evolution into an ecosystem, positioning Pengu as an, in quotes, social currency intended to facilitate broader community engagement and potentially shift the project's operating model towards an app publisher supporting community-driven initiatives. Now, this is something I've also kind of like made note of, like when you look at the Pepe, the Doges, whatever. I do think Pengu kind of has like its own like, I don't know, newer type audience that's going to vibe with that, not as much as some of the other ones, if people haven't already, liked those. Institutional interest in Pengu is on the rise as the Pengu ETF application, a hybrid product comprising of 80 to 95% tokens and remaining in NFTs, has progressed from the initial S1 filing to SEC acknowledgement on July 9th, 2025. So one thing that I do want to highlight with this, because this is on the recording this morning with Ray, we actually kind of got into this a little bit, because I made the notion of we're consistently seeing a lot of companies that are saying we are going to have a crypto treasury of sorts. And that is immediately rocketing their stock like 100% or more. And we continually to see it. It's like the easy trick in the book. You know what I mean? Where the company says that, boom, we're going. But then we have GameSquare that said, we're going to offer X amount on the NFT side of things. They go CryptoPunk. We suddenly see a huge rotation within the historical NFTs. CryptoPunks end up absolutely sending. We had kind of, the Pudgies, the Bored Apes and whatnot move before, and then it was kind of like flat, but now we're seeing historical ones go, and I'm like, is the narrative actually being formed by people speculating that these NFT treasury companies are going out to buy NFTs, and if they're going to pick which ones, they're going to go for the historical ones? Is that the sentiment and the reason why they think that's going to happen? That's the thing that's like kind of confusing for me. Is that actually what it is, or is it something more? Yo, Jeremy, I bought like 30 Pudgy toys over the last week. Are you buying like the plushies? Or are you buying like the you know, the toy figurines, I guess we'll call them. Yo, Raymond Anderson, what's going on? How are we doing on this Tuesday morning? So we got to watch, right? Because it's everybody else's perspective. We have our own, but what exactly does it look like? And yo, Jeremy buying everything. And yo, so a little bit of a lore before we get into this one. This is super cool. So I got reached out to, how do we phrase this? Somebody found my Instagram, which is like locked, but it's got the same handle as like my YouTube channel. And they sent me this DM. And like at first I legitimately thought this was a scam, but then like they gave like all their info and like I went through a bunch of stuff and I was like, oh my God, like this is actually real. So these guys reached out and they actually wanted to use some of the footage from the Bored Ape Yacht Club mint stream, which Yo Jeremy was there for. And we actually collectively minted the ape that revealed the entire collection for it. And it's I don't know, it's probably the only like really, really cool thing that I've done in terms of like an actual historical impact, because I don't think anybody was streaming Bored Apes. But somebody finally made a documentary about Bored Apes and the fact that like NFTs and everything went crazy. And this is how the world went ape shit. So enjoy this trailer. It's coming out, I think, in like 1 or 2 days. Allegedly, it's on Netflix, but it's done in a very cool fashion. I think you guys are gonna enjoy this. Here's the trailer of how the world went ape shit.
We're ready to roll.
The world went fucking apeshit. This is how it happened.
NFT.
Non-fungible token.
It can be a digital asset like an image.
This is going to take the world by storm.
And it began with cartoon monkeys.
You're an NFT?
Yeah, I'm a fucking NFT.
The Bored Apes project.
There are 10,000 Bored Apes.
We're going to release this art, but this art is a key to the club.
It was a community that you wanted to be part of.
It just snowballed into this crazy thing.
You gotta ape in.
Oh my gosh, look at the money that's being made.
There's a tipping point where the sociopaths come in.
All they cared about was money.
People wanted to get rich.
This money-making hotbed of degenerates.
Was it the future or was it a hustle?
I didn't know how long it was gonna last.
NFT markets are crashing.
It just imploded.
NFTs are totally
Completely worthless.
That's how I do it.
I knew we were fucked.
NFTs were supposed to reshape economics for creators and artists.
You don't think I'm gonna get served for a cartoon of stoned cats?
You can't make this stuff up.
It was just like a fun thing. It was innovative.
It brought so many people together. Oh, it went to zero!
It was a mess.
Fuck off. There will be nothing like the NFT ever again.
The best thing I've ever done, and the biggest mistake of my life.
Digital monkeys fucking changed the world.
Yo, I love the fact that this feels like it's something that's got drama, that's got like truth to it, that's not like a complete dig at everything. So that's going to be coming out again in like 1 or 2 days. Very excited to see the whole series. And yeah, so I'm featured in this from a couple clips within that stream. So excited to see what that looks like. And if it is like just on YouTube or whatever, maybe we'll do like a whole watch back together and make comments about certain stuff that happened live. Or maybe I'll try to reach out to a couple people that we know from all those days and maybe watch it together. But just in, PayPal to allow merchants to accept crypto payments. Well, everybody's just getting on the rails at crypto, making it cool and opportunistic. Well, Bitwise says stablecoins are going parabolic. Man, the tokenized dollar, right? When everybody talks about RWAs, be aware that they a lot of the times mean specifically stablecoins. Or, you know, we loop a lot of different assets within the RWA space, but like the vast majority here is stablecoins, and you can see that that's just going parabolic. So when everybody says RWAs, it's like, yeah, but where does the speculation exactly come into? And that's also why, you know, when Circle came out with that IPO, how crazy the valuations of it went, because there's not really that many ways to quote unquote like speculate or like invest in stablecoins, and also why a whole bunch of different companies are trying to launch their own, which Ray said WiseTree was the latest this morning or yesterday that said that as well. So the top 20 crypto tokens by market cap 2017 to 2025. I'm not going to play this entire thing because it's like a 3.5 minute video. But back in 2017, just to show you how crazy the world, or the world of crypto, looked, XRP was at the top. And then we had Litecoin, Monero, the privacy coin. We have ETH Classic, Dash, MadeSafe, Augur, NEM, STEM, Economy, Factum, Waves, Dogecoin. Dogecoin was at 22 million. Dogecoin was at 22 million. Isn't it like way over $1 billion now? Nah, that's crazy. Stellar was in here, Ardon, Gollum, game credits. But then there's so many ones that simply aren't around anymore. And just looking at this where, okay, Dash, number one. I don't even, if you ask me what Dash is, I have no idea. XRP absolutely taking over the world. Okay. And then Litecoin going for an absolute ripper. And then them coming through. We got Neo, we got Bitcoin Cash absolutely taking over. Bitcoin Cash taking it out. It's going to be XRP back in the lead. Litecoin trying to be in there, but it's going to be Bitcoin Cash taking an absolute monstrosity of a forward-facing thing. And the XRP says, hold my muffins there, buddy. And you can just see, like, it constantly changes over time. And then we get, like, all the way to here. And BNB moving. Solana taking over the cake. XRP, Dogecoin running. XRP just sending it. Jeez. It's crazy. It's funny as hell to really watch this stuff. Because it doesn't, none of this stuff, you know, at a point, you still go down. You're like, okay, so these are the top 15 or whatever. I mean, Hyperliquid coming in March 2025. How crazy does it look over a couple of years? Fascinating to watch, exciting to cover. Cyrus. Someone just dumped these two beauties under market value and immediately deposited all $500,000 into a gambling site. So if the one on the left looks a little bit familiar, that's because it's known by or owned by, well, I guess both of them are, but it was known as Nate Shot, the Call of Duty esports legend that decided they were going to sell their CryptoPunks. Very intriguing, going on the gambling side of things. Now, with this, right, we've seen a lot of streamers go down that path where they want to, you know, do the slot machines as streams, but also for Nate Shot, for quite some time, they've been doing the Counter-Strike weapon pack openers, right? I don't know the right terminology for it, but that's something they've been really into. And obviously, Nate Shot's sitting on a whole bunch of cashola, so 500,000, so whatever for him. But it got some headlines just because it was like, oh, that guy's selling a CryptoPunk. Well, they're mooning. That's interesting. So Portals is a collection on Solana that is building out a metaverse world. And they've created a Squid Games lobby for Season 2. And if I was going to make the argument for something, I think that this is going to be such a huge unlock when you have the actual brands themselves that are kind of, you know, allowing people to use their IP. Because if this Kinetic person just created some sort of map, right? What's the likelihood or the possibility that it's going to get some sort of mass adoption just from creating like a world that's kind of cool? I'd be like, yeah, you know what? All right. Probably not crazy, but then all of a sudden, hey, we've created a Squid Game type lobby for the game. Everybody's like, I know what Squid Game is. That looks cool. That gives me a hit of nostalgia. Let me go check it out. I think it's going to play a huge part moving forward. I'm impressed with the Doodles team for sunsetting DreamNet. Not because I thought it was doomed to fail, but because what I see in this decision. I am confuzzled. So DreamNet was like Doodle's AI token blockchain crypto world. And all of a sudden I'm seeing all these people saying that they are sunsetting it, which obviously maybe there's too many resources or it didn't work out. But I mean, I feel like we literally just got the documents for it like 2-3 months ago. So why is it already getting sunset? If anybody's gotten any idea, listen, I'm all ears for it. Seeing the Hashmash floor pump from $180 to 622 sales within 24 hours, I think it's time to repost this legendary timeline. So, look at this. We've highlighted it before because this is, I mean, I probably should save this graphic as a whole too, but Hashmash, Vox Deus, Cyberkongs, Vox Deus. Do you guys remember Danny Ukes? So Vox Deus had this really weird bonding curve where the concept with it was every mint it got more expensive. And part of this, they had a bunch of prizes that were to be given out once they sold out everything. And I remember there was somebody that got Voxadeus prize, or maybe it wasn't on the bonding curve, but there was some other thing. And Danny Ukes just started the world's biggest beef on the timeline, not wanting like the Voxadeus thing because they thought like they hated the collection. I don't know what the hell it was, but Voxadeus was supposed to be this like digital collectible avatar world. I don't know if anything even happened with it, to be totally honest with you, but at one point it was the talk of the town. CyberKong's still kicking around. They've gotten involved and tried to do a lot of communities where they have like Wall Street Kongs, which is a Discord channel where there's people that give advice, trades, whatever for crypto, NFTs, etc., etc., etc. They went out and they did a whole bunch of stuff for Guild of Guardians, Axie Infinity. They tried to create like a guild of sorts before that was really a thing. Bored Ape Yacht Club, sort of self-explanatory. Ghosts, I don't even know if they're still doing art or anything, but this was like a one-of-one collection that expanded to do a little bit more, not generated pieces, but bigger size collections of the same stuff, but also still doing those one-of-ones. Meebits, again, next to CryptoPunks. You got V-Friends, Crypto Trunks, Arabian Camels. They said they were going to do a TV show. They gave it out free NFTs to Bored Ape members. Bonsai by Zen NFT. This was literally just a bonsai plant that was a digital collectible. And they had a water token. They said that they were going to do a water token. And that never ended up happening. So everybody speculated on this, and then nothing happened. Super Yeti, they were doing a game. I want to say they were looking at doing a show at some point. It's still around. I don't know if it's really gotten any traction, but it seems to be like a meme that people are still talking about. Yo, Pillness, what's going on? How are we? What's your thoughts on the future of Web3 and blockchain? I think by default, a lot of stuff is going to get just adopted because we're going into this like hyperactive online world, and it's really just kind of the next evolution of the internet from that perspective. I mean, from a dev perspective, I guess we'd make the argument about what does it look like for these AI agents. Is it something where I can sit here? I'm not like a dev, right? Like, yo, Jeremy's got that covered, but I'm not. And if I'm here and I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to have some kind of a site that collects all different news from X about Major League Soccer, because that's like my new thing right now. I'm really enjoying watching that. And I want this site to populate certain videos, and I want people to ping this or do whatever the hell for the site. And I just type that in an agent. What does that do for the dev jobs? Well, they're probably still going to be around because there's going to be people that have problems within these AI agents, and it's not going to be something that happens very quickly. But really the question for all of this stuff is like, what does it look like for AI's integration of everything? But for blockchain, right, like everything needs to be authentic. I want to say like authentic, but authenticized is not a word in English, I think. But everything's going to need to have like verified that it is authentic. And I think blockchain's kind of the way to do that. Because even right now, you go online and you read a headline, and I don't even know how to react to it. I'm like, okay, is that fake or is that real? And 9 times out of 10, it's fake. So everything just doesn't have the same kick that it does. But Gutter Cat Gang, the Alien Boy, Wicked Craniums, Bored Ape Kennel Club, whole bunch of different collections in there. Wicked Cranium going after doing concerts. Alien Boy was trying to do games, create a community. Gutter Cat Gang had stuff that was going on in Las Vegas for events. And then it's had like 5 different owners. Now they're launching Bitcoin NFTs. I don't know what the hell is going on with that. Cool Cats within here, and you go down the list, and there's a whole bunch of other cool things, right? But what of it is considered historical? Because we have hash masks here that are considered historical, but then even before that, you have Mooncats. And then you keep going down the list, and you're like, okay, well, which ones still have any sort of provenance? And then V-Friends is one, which again, Gary V and the founder for that has kicked around pretty good. Meebits still around. Bored Ape still around. CyberKong still around. No, maybe, probably not. Yes, sort of, but not many people care. Yeah, but it seems like they're grifting. Yes, but I don't know what the hell the Kennel Club does. Slacker Duck Pond, no. Cool Cats, yes. Bulls on the Block. You know what's weird? Bulls on the Block randomly started posting the other day about how they were doing like some token or some kind of yield if you don't have your thing listed or anything like that. A lot of these don't think. NFTs have fallen off though. True. But at the same time, certain collections have like absolutely taken flight again. So we're back to what decides what in that sense. And I don't know. But certain ones that are having bigger followings of sorts are doing some innovative things. NBA Top Shot moments are now available in Japanese vending machines. Interested buyers can now find these smart vending machines and add Top Shot moments to their collection via mobile phone. No crypto or wallet is needed to begin. They simply scan a QR code, pay via Apple Pay or Google Pay, and then a float wallet will be created for them. Packs are priced at 1,000 yen or $6.70. Now, I don't know if this is like a cultural thing, because I feel like, at least where I am, there's not really that many vending machines or stuff that people go to. I've seen like those Pokemon ones, but I've not actually seen one in person. But done in an NFT where you just scan it. What in the hell? Something I would have never pictured happening. But guys, tonight the League's Cup kicks off. It's going to be the Mexico League, or Liga MX versus MLS. I am absolutely freaking excited for this. And then Thomas Müller, the famous German footballer, played for Bayern Munich, potentially going to the Vancouver Whitecaps. Imagine the Canadian team getting Mr. Müller. Unbelievable. And exciting. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Yo, Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on through for the subscription, and I hope that you are having a wonderful day and everything's good in your world. Pilnus, appreciate you coming through. Sorry I've only been here for a few moments after the follow, and then you're gone. Again, we are live over on YouTube, Twitch, X. If you want to watch or listen to the RWA Segments podcast, again, we got another one coming out later today, but the link's in the description down below or in my bio on X. And Snazzy, thanks for coming through as well. Enjoy your day. We'll talk soon. Peace.